Welcome back to Disturbed Reality. In regards to narco coverage on my channel, I have primarily covered the larger cartels based in Mexico, from the Sinaloa Cartel, Gulf Cartel, Los Zetas, and C.J.N.G. However, there are a whole host of other criminal organizations, although not as big as the latter, who are no strangers to extreme violence, such as Carteles Unidos, Los Viagras, and La Familia Michoacana. One organization in which I haven't covered to a great extent is La Familia Michoacana, a cartel with a very complex history. As indicated in the name, La Familia Michoacana are located in the state of Michoacan and are one of the state's most well-known cartels. They are known to produce large amounts of methamphetamine in their labs, which are dotted around the Michoacan countryside. Primarily, La Familia focuses on drug trafficking, extortion, and arms trafficking. It's hard to pinpoint the exact origins of La Familia. However, several narco experts state that the seeds for the cartel were sown in the 1980s, where they started with the intention of helping and protecting the poor from local kidnappers and drug dealers. As the years passed, much like many auto-defensa groups that we see today, La Familia transitioned into the criminal underworld. It's said that the cartel's founder was a man by the name of Carlos Rosales Mendoza, who was a close friend of Osiel Cardenas, the former Gulf cartel boss. Another one of the cartel's main leaders was Nazario Moreno Gonzalez, also known as El Mas Loco, or in English, the craziest one. Despite not being the group's founder, it's believed that El Mas Loco was seen as La Familia's spiritual leader. La Familia Michoacana truly came into prominence in the 1990s when they formed a close relationship with the Gulf Cartel due to Carlos Rosales Mendoza's relationship with Osiel Cardenas. La Familia gunmen would conduct missions and hits on the GOLFO's behalf. They were essentially seen as an armed wing of the Gulf Cartel. In fact, it's said that they initially trained with the GOLFO's main armed wing, Los Zetas. After years of working closely with the Gulf Cartel, La Familia split and went independent in 2006, partly due to disagreements with their counterparts, Los Zetas. The two groups would go on to fight an especially brutal war in the ensuing years. At this time, they were also at odds with the infamous Beltran-Leyva cartel, though they developed a working relationship with El Chapo and the Sinaloa cartel, who were also at war with the Beltran-Leyva brothers. In the late 2000s, La Familia Michoacana was seen as one of the strongest and fastest growing cartels in Mexico. However, this momentum started to falter in the early to mid-2010s, most notably due to instability at the top of the organization due to the reported death of leader Nazario Moreno Gonzalez, which is an interesting story in itself. The death of Nazario was reported on the 9th of December 2010 when Mexican Federal Police surrounded the small village of El Alcalde in Apatzingan, Michoacan. Reportedly, Nazario was at a local festival handing out Christmas presents to the villagers when he was tracked down by the authorities. As the police troops drove into town, they were met with hostility. Gunmen of La Familia Michoacan blocked the entrances with more than 40 burning trucks and cars. A shootout quickly ensued, which lasted for 2 days, and at least 11 people were confirmed dead. During the shootout, the gunmen managed to carry out the bodies of their fallen comrades up to the hills of Michoacan. The government at the time reported that Nazario Moreno Gonzalez had been killed, but that the cartel took his body away. However, as time passed, rumors began to circulate that Gonzalez was still alive, unbeknownst to the authorities. Following the reported death of Gonzalez, the cartel suffered infighting due to the power vacuum left at the top. Jose de Jesus Mendez Vargas, aka El Chango Mendez, would eventually take control of the organisation, much to the dismay of many prominent La Familia members. His authority was disputed by the influential Enrique Plancarte Solis and Servando Gomez Martinez, aka La Tuta. The two would go on to form a splinter of La Familia, calling itself Los Caballeros Templarios, aka the Knights Templar. The two factions would go on to engage in a bloody war. Then La Familia leader, Jose de Jesus Mendez Vargas, was captured soon after, on the 21st of June 2011, by Mexican police in the state of Aguascalientes. At this point, Mexican authorities declared La Familia officially disbanded. However, this couldn't be any further from the truth. Although not as powerful, the cartel continued to operate throughout the 2010s until the present day, where they find themselves at war with CJNG in the Battle of Michoacán. Another interesting element to the La Familia story was that the apparent ex-leader, Nazario Moreno Gonzalez, never died in the shootout on the 9th of December 2010. He was indeed still alive, and took the opportunity to fake his death, where allegedly he was still running the organisation from the shadows. On the 9th of March 2014, Nazario was killed for real. The Mexican army pinpointed Moreno Gonzalez's whereabouts in Tumbiscatillo, Michoacán, where they tried to apprehend him. However, the drug lord opened fire at the security forces, creating a shootout, before being killed in the exchange of gunfire. Nazario's body was conclusively identified by DNA examinations and fingerprint identifications. The results were consistent with law enforcement files. It was ultimately the death of Nazario that led to the downfall of La Familia Michoacana. He was described as a charismatic and bombastic leader, more akin to a crazy preacher or cult leader, more so than a gangster. It's said that Nazario created his own Bible, which he carried at all times, containing his own verses, which he would recite to his fellow gangsters. A copy of the Bible, seized by Mexican federal agents, revealed an ideology that mixes evangelical-style self-help with insurgent-type language. Gonzalez based most of his doctrine on a work by Christian writer John Eldridge, using his own understanding of the idea in Eldridge's message that every man must have a battle to fight, a beauty to rescue, and an adventure to live. It's alleged that sicarios and traffickers would all carry a copy of Gonzalez's Bible. Moreno Gonzalez also prohibited his men from consuming alcoholic beverages or other drugs. It's also said that La Familia Michoacana emphasized religion and family values during recruitment and placed banners in areas of operations claiming that it does not tolerate substance abuse or exploitation of women and children. To keep the locals on side, Gonzalez and La Familia would contribute with charitable acts towards the public, such as handing out food and clothes to the poor, funding schools, and even funding drainage and sanitation projects in impoverished areas. In turn, this allowed La Familia to get the support of several rural sectors in the state of Michoacán, where many served as informants and collaborators for the cartel. Gonzalez was revered by many in his local community as a Robin Hood type figure. After his fake death in 2010, Michoacán natives, believing that he was dead, reportedly began to worship him as Saint Nazario, the knight of the town and the protector of the poorest. Today's La Familia Michoacana is a shadow of its former self, but hasn't yet been entirely removed from southern Mexico's criminal landscape, despite the claims from Mexican authorities. As of right now, La Familia find themselves in regular skirmishes with C.J.N.G and a splinter group by the name of La Nueva Familia Michoacana, who split from the main La Familia organization in 2011. Most of the graphic content surrounding La Familia stems from the ongoing battle with C.J.N.G, most notably an incredibly brutal video where C.J.N.G hitmen dismembered a La Familia member by the name of El Vargo. One video that was released in May of 2020 depicted the sheer brutality in which La Familia are capable of. The video showcased the brutal execution of 2 alleged CJNG members. I'd like to thank my good friend Soothsayer for recommending this case. The 2 victims in the video are young men who I would estimate are in their early 20s. The video was allegedly recorded in Zirándaro in the state of Guerrero. The video opens up, and a man wearing an Under Armour t-shirt can be seen carrying a large combat knife. You see the 2 victims, both of whom have been stripped down to their underwear. One of the victims, the first victim, looks to be wearing a C.J.N.G hat. The executioner briefly addresses the cameraman before the depravity takes place. The knife-wielding sicario then takes the knife and drives the blade into the victim's chest, appearing to aim for the heart. Blood leaks down the victim's chest as the executioner wriggles and twists the knife as it's deep inside the victim. Somehow, the victim doesn't scream, though you hear what sounds like extremely loud hyperventilation. The executioner taunts the victim, exclaiming, "La Familia Michoacana puto." The cameraman zooms into the victim's face, and the sight is horrifying. You see the state of terror and shock frozen on his face, and the colour seems to be draining from his skin. He looks extremely pale. The La Familia executioner then takes the knife and drives it into the victim's throat, and then starts slicing. The victim is still alive at this point, and you hear the faint gasps for breath, which creates a bubbly and wheezy sound. The knife-wielding maniac slices through the victim's throat until he gets to the spinal cord, which he has trouble cutting through. As a result, he puts his boot on the blade and stamps on it to cut through the spinal cord, which makes a loud snapping and cracking sound. The man continues to slice after the spinal cord is severed, but he fails to complete the beheading. The victim is dead at this point, and his C.J.N.G hat is then rested on his body. The La Familia members can be heard insulting C.J.N.G leader Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, aka El Mencho. The killer then heads towards the second victim, who is sitting shirtless with his back to the camera. They instruct the man to lay down on his back, and they promise him that they will make the execution quick by putting a bullet in his brain. However, this was a lie. The man carrying the knife drives the blade into the victim's chest multiple times. The video then slightly cuts forwards, and it looks like the executioner is trying to slice the victim's chest open, all while the victim is still alive, though not screaming. The victim's entire chest is covered in blood. The executioner then stabs him in the throat and twists the knife. The victim lets out a muffled groan. He then stabs the victim's chest a couple more times. There is a lot more blood than the first execution. The executioner then finishes the job by stabbing and slicing at the victim's neck, like he is trying to behead him. He gets to the spine, though he doesn't complete the beheading, instead just letting the victim bleed out. Cartel members in the background, including the cameraman, can be heard laughing and joking. The cameraman then fixates on the second victim for a few seconds, where you can see the full extent of his brutal torment. The video then ends. It's a brutal video to look at, and shows that although La Familia Michoacana are not as powerful as they once were, they are still capable of extreme violence and cruelty as they try to cling on to the remaining influence that they do have in Michoacan and the surrounding states. Interestingly, many speculate that the infamous Funky Town video and the cartel pitbull castration video were carried out by La Familia Michoacana, though it is worth noting that this speculation has never been proven. What is for certain, however, is that they are capable of such violence. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, if you can enjoy this sort of content, and once again, thank you guys for all of the support that you have shown me. It's much appreciated. A couple of things to look out for, namely I am starting a Twitch channel. I have a few different ideas for that. Ultimately though, it's a place where we can let our hair down, have some fun, that sort of thing. It's not going to be anything too serious, but we'll definitely have some fun. I'm not entirely sure when I'm starting, but I have created my Twitch channel, so check that link out in the pinned comment. Check out my other socials and give me a follow if you would be so kind. Also, if you would check out my other socials, it would be much appreciated. And yeah, if you guys have any ideas for future video topics, please feel free to let me know either in the comments, or better yet, DM me on Twitter, or drop me an email. But, as always, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.